We've been having this overheating issue. As you can see, the reservoir is completely full. The engine is cold. I'm opening the bleeder. You can see the presence of water there, no air. I'll tighten it back up. We're still full in the reservoir, and we're going to start the engine and see what happens. Right now we're showing that the engine is cold on the temperature gauge, sitting idle. Engine's running fine. You see the coolant level kind of fluctuating up and down a little bit. There's no obvious bubbles in the reservoir at this time. The thermostat has been removed, fan clutch has been replaced. The water pump is only a year old, but I did take it apart and check the water pump. Everything seems fine with the water pump. The temperature's risen just a little bit, probably normal. Without any thermostat, it should take quite a long time for it to reach normal operating temperature, if it's even possible to reach operating temperature. But even with the thermostat removed, the engine does overheat. When it starts to heat up, we're expecting the water in the reservoir to be overflowing. Go ahead and crack the bleeder open a little bit. See, it's just water. No air. I would say that the water rising in the reservoir at this point, since it's so full, is probably normal. Obviously, water expands when it's warm and contracts when it's cold. But the amount of water that I'm expecting to come out of the reservoir shortly is definitely not normal. You'll notice that it hasn't quite reached the rim yet. There's an overflow tube that drains out beneath the car, so it doesn't look like it's overflowing right now, but it is a small amount, very slowly. You can see the water is dripping out of the overflow tube. Let's take a look at the temperature gauge. Not quite a quarter. The hose is pretty cool to the touch. The hose coming directly off the thermostat is just warm. It's not hot. The hose leaving the outlet of the water pump, it's warm. It's about the same. It's the last one. So water coming out of the water pump through the thermostat, going down to the bottom of the radiator. The water leaving the radiator is cool, as expected. We still have this constant loss of water in the cooling system. And still no obvious signs of air or combustion gases in the reservoir at this time. There's a small amount of air right now escaping the bleeder valve on the thermostat housing. This doesn't seem to be under much pressure, but it's not a steady stream of water either. Now we're getting a steady burping of air out, and some water and some air. You also notice that suddenly the reservoir is overflowing substantially. I'll close this bleeder valve back off for a moment. Take a look at the temperature gauge. We're at exactly halfway, which would be normal temperature. Now we've almost basically got a rolling boil going on. Lots of combustion gases. We're still about halfway. Lots of air. I'm not going to run it any further. Just go ahead and assume that the engine will significantly overheat past the 3/4 mark. It will go all the way to the red if allowed to keep running. As you can see, it's boiling substantially out of the reservoir there. It's definitely not normal circumstances. That's all for the investigation of this right now. I'm pretty sure it's blown head gasket, or cracked head, or cracked block. shutting it off, you can hear it boiling. You hear the steam coming out of the thermostat housing bleeder valve. It's no water in the oil. No signs of oil in the water. I guess we'll be taking this one down and taking the head off and having it checked out.